Welcome back to the Four Podmen, the wrestling podcast we bring you each and every week on the Dynamo Podcast Network. Head over to YouTube, smash that subscribe and bell notification button. Audio versions of the show are available through Anchor, Spotify, Apple, iTunes, all that kind of good stuff. Also, if you want to contact the show, you'll find us on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter at TPodmen. Joining me tonight for one of these special episodes, Collector's Corner. This has been an episode coming for a while now. This is a man who collects some really, really good stuff. I'm going to be impressed with this collection tonight. Dave Cullen. How are we, David?
All right. Doing pretty good.
All the way from Wexford, a man who regularly visits the shop and a long-time friend and friend of the shop. We have spoken for years about pro wrestling. Probably more years than we've nearly been following it. Tell us, how did you get into pro wrestling first?
I pretty much think it was just going through. I was very young at the time. I was only about 5, 6, so my memory of it is very scattery. But I just remember, I think it could have even been my dad that was going through the channels and he just left it on one day. Our earliest thing I can remember from it would have been back, during the feud with the Hart Foundation and Steve Austin. And it's just, it just looked like something I'd like, because, when you're that young, you love all these fighting things, all the superhero stuff. So to me, that's kind of what it was like. It was like just guys fighting and superhero stuff. It was a really boy thing. Not that girls couldn't like it either, but it was a real boy thing.
Yeah, absolutely. It's kind of like with pro wrestling, you kind of stumble across it, and I think everyone kind of stumbles across it. And it either sticks with you or it goes straight by you, and you either get it or you don't get it. But there's no sort of halfway house, if you like. In terms of the characters that you kind of grew up on and the characters that you stuck with and stuff like that, it was on the Rushmore, if you like.
The first was Bret Hart, because even though he was a heel back then, by that point, it's just when you're that young, like pink is like a girl's color, and like little boys don't tend to like pink. But when I saw him wear pink, he just looked so cool, and that was my reason for liking him. It wasn't anything to do with the wrestling. It was just, he looks so cool wearing pink, and pink is a girl's color. He looks so cool though.
So it was just the difference. He just stood out so much.
He just stood out, yeah. And then, but very short while later went on to Austin. It was just Austin then until he finished up.
Who never wore pink and would never make it look cool. Always black boots, black tights, black waistcoat, black everything, black trunks.
But it worked, so that's what was great.
That's it, yeah. So in terms of meeting wrestlers and stuff like that, I kind of know some of the answers to this already, because we've spoke about many a WrestleMania trip you've been on, and fan access, WrestleCons, for the love of wrestling, all these kind of things. So you've regularly been around top wrestling stars in terms of autograph sessions and meet and greets and all that. Who are the ones that kind of stand out?
Well, the number one, because he is my favorite all time, is Stone Cold. Met him back in 2018 in New Orleans, WrestleCon. It was a really big thing because he's so rare for those signings. He barely ever does them. I've known of about 3, including that one in the past decade that he's done. He's just so rare for them. So I think to finally be able to get him was meant the absolute world to me.
And in terms of meeting him, did it meet expectation?
Oh yeah, he was friendly enough. When I meet them, it's like I don't really have big conversations with them unless they bring up something first. Okay. The only wrestlers I've ever had a conversation with are the ones who brought up the conversation themselves. I never bring up anything. I'm just very more, I give the pleasantries, and if something comes up, then we talk about it. But so he was just, hello, thanks for, where'd you come from? Thanks for coming out, that kind of thing. You looking forward to, because this was the day WrestleMania was happening. You looking forward to WrestleMania, that kind of thing. Then
you hit him with a stunner, hook the leg, 1, 2, 3, off you went with the smoking skull belt. Yeah. And would that be kind of is that the nature of your personality, that you're quite reserved in terms of when you meet these guys? And is it because you're meeting a star, or is it just that's the way you are?
No, it's just it's like I used to observe other people meeting them at these events, and like there's nothing wrong with the way they were happy with the way they were talking around. It was just they were talking to him about the same thing over and over again. Yeah. I didn't want to be one of those people that was going to annoy them further. Like most of them wouldn't have let you know that they were annoyed. Yeah. But like you could tell they don't want to talk about it again and again and again.
Yeah.
So I would stay away from certain topics. As I said, if something came up in conversation, like I would, a lot of the times I would wear. I have a couple of different T-shirts of Andy Kaufman. He's one of my favorites. So of the celebrities to be involved with wrestling, definitely the best. And I would often wear different Andy Kaufman T-shirts, and he was always a huge talking point for people.
Okay.
I've lost count how many wrestlers have noticed a T-shirt and immediately gone into conversation about him. There was like Hillbilly Jim was talking about his experiences with him and how he never knew if he was serious or not, and most of them believed that he was just trying to work them or whatever,
Okay.
So like and a lot of them, Mark Henry, The Ascension, Fandango, they all went into deep conversations about it. And Jake Hager was one who when he saw it, he was searching for his phone. He said he wanted to take a picture of the T-shirt to post on his Twitter, but he didn't have his phone on him. He said he wasn't allowed to have his phone on him during the signing.
Okay.
So so a lot. So I like. So yeah, a lot of that's talking points is from what I'm wearing and that kind of thing.
Yeah, well, that's interesting. That's a kind of a good it's a good idea for anyone who's listening who's potentially going to a wrestling con or something like that. That if you are kind of a little bit reserved and you don't want to be annoying wrestlers with the same story over and over again, maybe wear something different, something out of the box that triggers a bit of conversation, and something a bit different. Yeah, so it's a good tip for anyone going to these things, because I can imagine, like, you're going up to meet Stone Cold, everyone's going to talk about
it works for a lot of things, because like a lot of times when I'm going to meet and greets with, say, musicians or actors at a Comic-Con or something, I would wear my old DX jersey. Okay. And that's come up for a lot of people. Like Nick Frost loved it. Yeah. The band Bowling for Soup loved it.
Yeah, and all the people who say they're not wrestling fans recognize it straight away. Yeah.
All of a sudden they realize who it is and they talk to you about it for a minute. It's quite cool. Yeah.
Yeah, no, that's cool. That's a fantastic idea. Yeah, absolutely. Right, in terms of the collection, let's get going with the collection. Let's show me some of those fine pieces from you jet setting around the globe, meeting all these wrestlers.
I have a variety of stuff. Most of the time I don't just stick to one thing. The way some people are just figures and just T-shirts or whatever. I usually go with a variety of stuff, and one of them is another one of my favorites ever is Hulk Hogan. One of the reasons why I love him is his ridiculous merchandise. I mean, you think John Cena is bad with his garden gnomes and those kind of things. Hulk Hogan had some really ridiculous stuff for back then, So I picked up a lot of different Hulk Hogan stuff over the years. For example, this one I bought on eBay a long while back. This is from a Burger King meal back in England. Burger King meal back in 1992, I think it says on the copyright on it.
Okay.
It's an ink stamp.
Oh, yeah, one of the stamper yolks. Yeah.
It's never been opened, so I don't know if the ink is still there or not.
It's there, but I'd say it's dry at this stage.
Probably, but I'm never going to open it. It's just one of those things I want to keep.
Yeah, no, that's very cool.
Yeah, cool. And again, this is one of those things that you just can't believe they released, as a Hulk Hogan light switch.
Yeah, jeez. Oh my god, yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
So it's one of those things that I don't want to open it. I love the packaging and that kind of thing, so I don't want to open it. But I might pick up another one eventually, and I will open that just to use it.
It's probably one that you can't fit here, can you? Because it's probably American voltage.
Not too sure. I never really looked into that, but
because if it's an American release, it'll be American voltage. So what happens is when you flip the switch, it's going to flip your trip switch.
I'll pick up another one eventually anyway, just to see, because it's really cool. I'm almost tempted to open it, but I won't.
You're like me, inbox all the way.
Absolutely. The only things I would ever collect loose are things that you can't avoid collecting loose. I'll show you some of them shortly. Here's another ridiculous one. It's the album Hulk Hogan released in Japan.
Oh wow.
There's only one or two. There's two songs on it. They're mostly in Japanese, and then it's a Japanese singing, and then just random Hulk Hogan quotes. God, but it's before before WWE, so that they're, you know, the
Yeah, it's mad when you look at the picture. It's uncanny nearly to Lex Luger, isn't it? Nearly when you look
yeah,
at it.
yeah.
From a distance, I'm looking at that. That could easily be Lex Luger. Yeah, absolutely. That's so cool.
Yeah.
So where did you pick that up?
That was from a big music website, Discogs. They all have almost every vinyl, CD, cassette, anything you could get.
What price range was that?
This was would take postage out of account, and it was about 80.
Okay, that's not too bad. Yeah, considering
the post piled on. This was from Japan. I got it from Japan, like so.
Oh, okay, yeah.
So the post was you know. Yeah. It could have been better, but I was still happy to get it because I was after for a little while. It's one of those ones that only pops up online every now and then.
Nice.
So you have. I only saw it because having known about it previously, I put it in my watch list, and as soon as one became available, I got an email about it. Straight on, and got it.
Nice.
There's another ridiculous piece from him. It's a superstar soap set. Of him and the Ultimate Warrior.
Him and Warrior, yeah. Good.
It's absolutely ridiculous. Another thing that I'm not going to open, of course. Yeah. So I'll never use it. There could be a soap famine in the whole country, and it's not getting opened.
That's awesome.
You know?
Yeah, you're like me. You love that kind of quirky type of stuff. It's, you know what I mean. I'm not mad. I'm not mad about 8x10s or anything like that. I like crazy stuff.
Yeah. Well, when I'm meeting, I usually get an 8x10. That's only because most of my meets are out of the country, and it's so hard. Costs so much more to bring items signed back.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah. Some more random Hulk Hogan bits. That's a workout cassette on tape.
Brilliant.
You wouldn't know some of these exist until you happen to stumble across them.
Is that open or is it shrink wrapped?
Oh no, that is open because I did want.
I'll open it and take the cassette out because a lot of our viewers wouldn't even know what a cassette is. That's a cassette for people who don't know. So that spins and it has tape in it, and the tape plays music for people who don't know. That's our version of CDs.
If you press this here and it downloads the app.
Yeah.
And more random Hogan, the Hulk Hogan yo-yo. I don't know how to yo-yo, but since Hulk Hogan was on it, I had to get it.
Okay.
And these are clip-ons for your shirt, Hulk Hogan and Andre.
Awesome. Andre with the long hair as well. Awesome.
Pretty hard to come across, but again, they're one of those random things where I had to get them when I saw them.
So generally, how do you come across them? Because these are like very random. Like if you're a wrestling fan, and I always say to people, most wrestling fans are kind of nerdy in the way that we're all collectors. There's no doubt about it. I don't know anyone who's a wrestling fan who doesn't collect some aspect of it in some way, form, or fashion. So how do you come across stuff like that, like the soap set and the shirt clips and stuff like that?
A good few of them couldn't be Facebook groups. I mean, I'll be in a good few of collector groups.
Okay.
And a lot of really cool things will actually fly under the radar on eBay and Amazon and the usuals. Well, not more so not Amazon, but maybe adverts. Our version, kind of like our version of adverts, can have some really random stuff on it as well.
Yeah.
And a lot of it flies really under the radar. So been lucky to get quite a few of them. But eBay is a good pickup for a few of them, especially when one of my tricks is look up things like eBay Canada and eBay, and like different countries for eBay, and you could come across some really cool stuff like that. And sometimes they'll have the delivery option to be for here, and other times you might have to message the seller. But doing it that way is pretty cool because like if one things I would have bought on eBay Canada a long time ago, like it wouldn't have come up when you look up on eBay, the Ireland eBay or even the UK eBay, and there's even an international section on those, but it still won't come up. But if you look up eBay Canada and type in what you're looking for, you could come across or something very similar. That's ridiculous and cool.
I suppose it depends on the seller. The seller might code it that he only wants to ship it within the country or something like that.
Yeah, so that's happened a lot lately.
Plus, a lot of people will find in wrestling stuff, there is merchandise out there that was only released specific to certain markets. So there might be some exclusive Hogan stuff that was only for the Canadian market and stuff like that, and all just different stuff. Yeah,
like that Japanese album.
Yeah, like you're not going to pick it up on Tower Records on Dawson Street.
Yeah.
You know, yeah, absolutely,
yeah. This would be one of the things now which is loose, a loose figure, but unavoidable because it's a mail away
Okay,
Sergeant Slaughter Ljn.
nice.
It was actually it's done LJN style, but it's not like the LJN figures. It's very hard. They're rubber.
Okay.
This is very hard. And it was advertised in the magazines as LJN. He was beating up LJN figures in the advertisement, but he wasn't released as part of it.
Yeah, you can tell it's not an exact LJN because there's a lot more detail on it.
Yeah.
Where the LJNs tend to be a lot smoother, like. Yeah.
It was ironically, it was actually released by Hasbro, who had done the figures later.
Okay.
That was released by them through a magazine for G.I. Joe.
Okay.
So it's not even based on his appearance in WWE. It's based on how he was on the G.I. Joe cartoon.
Nice. I love the crossover stuff.
Yeah. So he's one of my favorites. He's only a pickup a couple of years ago, and he's in very good condition for his age. I always keep him in a box and bubble wrap.
Nice.
I'd like to get a display case for them, but they're so hard to come across, and they're mostly international, and I would be afraid of it breaking on the way over.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. And the other, it's like I mainly collect MOC when the figures mint on card. I don't like getting loose unless it's unavoidable like that. But my holy grail of figures is actually loose as well, only because it was unavoidable again, which is this. You know now from years of me. I mean, I love Scotty Too Hottie and Too Cool. So I mean, wearing it there as well, you know.
Oh yeah, 100%.
So my holy grail is these Bendham figures.
Okay,
you remember those Bendham figures?
Yeah.
These were from the very last series. So when the figures that were released in 1999, the harder ones, when they became very popular, these just completely went out of style altogether. So these were very limited. Awesome. So when I came across them like this a couple of years ago, I had to get them. Were not cheap. Okay. I got a great deal on them. Just as an example, these two on their own, Scotty and Grandmaster, recently sold for $1,000. Just them two without Rikishi, whereas I got them all together.
And is that loose or on card? Loose, it was $1,000.
Oh, loose. They were bought. If I got them on card, I would have kept them on card.
The limit.
Yeah, but even the two of them that sold recently on eBay, they were loose and they went for over $1,000.
Wow.
That's how rare they are. Yeah. So rare. So they're going to be the.
If anyone's getting into collecting and you hear David saying, I got them for a great price, don't think that means cheap. That just means a great price to what the actual price is. Nice.
I put it this way. I probably got these for between 800 and 1,000 less than what they're worth. You know?
Wow.
So I was very happy with that. They actually I remember I believe they're actually from Australia. And again, they didn't come up. They didn't come up on the our eBay. I just happened to go onto Australia because you always see collectors in the groups on Facebook, and it's they always get good pickups in Australia.
Nice.
And I decided for the hell of it, I'd look it up, and they were there, and it was amazing.
That was another instantaneous decision, I'd imagine, just boom, straight away.
Yeah. I believe I don't think I even had enough in my bank account at the time. So it was straight off to the credit union. Put it into the bank, came home, got them. It was one of those.
Awesome.
So yeah, more random Scotty Too Hotties, of course. Yeah. This one had to be imported because they weren't released in Ireland. It was a special limited edition series.
Ring Rage.
So I had to get him from the States. And this one is literally the only modern figure I own. Is this? This is the only one I own. I just I don't really like the new one. I know the new ones are so detailed and they look great, but it's just I prefer the older ones. It's just what I grew up with.
They don't give you the late 80s, early 90s kick at all, sure they don't.
Yeah, no, the excitement isn't there. So, but when Scotty came out, I had to get Scotty.
Yeah, of course, absolutely. Yeah, cool.
So absolutely.
And because of his character as well, he lends himself to a great figure as well. Because he's so flamboyant, so out there, the hair and the hat and everything, you know.
Before I got those loose Bendhams, this was my jewel previously.
Nice.
The beauty about it is hopefully it won't take as long as it plays the Too Cool theme. If you can hear it, I don't know if you can.
Yeah, no, I can hear it,
It's there, and this was released in 2000 as to 2021 now, 21 years old, and the boombox still works. So I still love that.
It's not like you're going to open it to change the batteries anyway, are you?
No, that's going to be the cruncher when it happens. It's like the boombox is gone, but I don't want to open it. And this is the only LJN I own that's on card because they're so damn expensive. But I came across this Jimmy Hart one shortly before a meeting with him, so I decided it'd be a cool thing to get signed.
Absolutely.
Love to get more of them, but they're the most pricey figures online for the LJNs on card.
Like, doesn't it go through a wave, isn't it? Isn't it mad the way like suddenly Hasbro's can be so expensive, and then like you go back 2-3 years ago, you could have bought a box of them for half nothing, like, and now all of a sudden Hasbro's are the main flavor and their prices are through the roof. Same with those. You go back 5-6 years ago, you probably picked them up reasonably cheap, like. And now everyone wants them. You know, it's mad, like.
Yeah,
no, it's cool.
So especially back when they first went out of fashion, they're one of those things that would go up for sale, you know, in America for like $2 in the shop, and now they're worth 200, 2,000. It's absolutely crazy the way things go.
Yeah. And it always tends to be the figure that you don't expect. Like if you think of the Hasbro's and look now, like the price of Earthquake and Dusty Roads and stuff like that, whereas you would think it would be the Warrior or the Hogan figures or whatever it is, but it's, you know what I mean? It's these other figures that are the ones you always turn around and go, I don't think I'll get that one. And you get the other, everyone always gets Hogan and Warrior and Savage and all that kind of stuff. But they're not the ones that tend to shoot up in price. It's the other ones.
Yeah.
Oh, cool.
Despite Steve Austin being my favorite, it's very like he has had some awesome merchandise over the years, but it's not on that Hulk Hogan level that I really want to get. So my Stone Cold stuff is actually quite limited. I only have things like, say, this is an animation cell from an appearance on a on a cartoon he did called Dilbert from about 20 years ago. It was one that was used for the actual show, an actual animation cell of it. It's just one of those really quirky things.
Yeah, absolutely.
I just like, and since it was him, I had to get it. So they're just one of those things. But my most recent addition to that kind of collection is this, which you can't get here. It's all over America, but you can't get it here. It's this beer.
Oh, okay.
You know yourself, I don't drink, but I got these imported as a gift from my sister for WrestleMania.
Okay.
To have during that. So she got me 2. I had 1. I drank 1, and then this one is I'm just going to keep on display.
Nice.
There's actually like I'm not a drinker, as I said, so for me it was horrible.
Yeah, I think they sell them through Walmart and Target and everything. Everywhere in the States, aren't they? So
yeah, they're in potty. It's really hard to get them over here, like imported. Even she went through so much effort to get it.
Yeah,
it was absolutely dreadful. I even put it up on Twitter that it was going to be my first ever drink, and he replied himself, Steve Austin, saying, "Oh, that'll be easy." I think he was referring to the alcohol level in it.
Yeah,
6 point something%, something like that. So I didn't understand percentages at the time. Still don't really. I just know it's supposed to be a tough drink.
Yeah.
But
it's decent for a beer, all right.
Yeah. I honestly only made it through a couple of sips, and I passed it on to somebody else and moved back onto me Coca-Cola.
Okay, nice. But you should have poured it into a glass and put some Coke in with it or something that make it like a shandy.
That's one of those drink things that are complete foreign to me. I just don't anticipate it.
Yeah, absolutely. You need Austin to release a cider. You'll be okay with a cider. It basically tastes like apples and stuff like that. Steve, if you're listening, release a cider one, will you? Awesome. What else have we got?
Those are the best part of it. Everything else is merely more so the usual kind of collections that you'd see from any other Joe, like things like that. For example, the Owen Hart blue blazer figure. It's one of those ones I love as well, but it's in the figure world, it's still very common.
Yeah.
It was obviously since he died very shortly after it.
I love the way you say any other Joe collector, and I'm thinking, and then he whips out a scratch logo WWF blue blazer boxed figure, and I'm thinking, yeah, sure, everyone just happens to have a blue blazer Owen Hart WWF scratch logo boxed figure.
it's still quite common to come across online for a
Yeah,
decent price if you are a collector. It still
yeah,
goes for anywhere between 10 and €50 plus
yeah.
post.
Which is a
So
steal for that figure, to be honest.
it is an absolute
Yeah,
steal because it's just really surprising that it's still so easy to get because this line was released very shortly before he died, and then they
yeah,
were taken off when he did die.
yeah,
So it's very surprising that there are so many that are still circulating as much as they are. But it probably gets some value someday. I know back when they did that Dark Side of the Ring episode on him, a
yeah,
lot of people put it up for $100, $200.
yeah,
Didn't see a sale
yeah,
because it still wasn't worth that, and that was just people trying to cash in.
yeah.
So
Which never looks good either. Like,
no, absolutely not.
timing in this collector's game is everything.
No, I was last year. I had a few figures up for sale on adverts, and one of them was a Shad Gaspard. And when he died, I actually took it down because I didn't want to look like I was cashing in.
Yeah,
Mm.
and because I would know you personally as a collector and stuff like that and all, I would never think that way. But someone who was just looking at going, oh, look at this guy cashing in now on another tragedy type of thing, yeah, so
Yeah.
that's the way they view it and stuff like that. Yeah, absolutely. In terms of, I mean, I see the wall there behind you, which is as good a Hall of Fame wall as you'll see anywhere. Um, what's the grail piece in terms of signed pictures or signed plaques or?
As mentioned before, that'll have to be Stone Cold. I know it's just a regular 8x10, but he still signed it right in front of me, so that's just going to have to be it for me. And it was great at the time. It was. I know it'll sound expensive to some. I paid $115 for this and a selfie with him, which is an absolute steal because even today he's doing every now and then he's doing online signings, and it's $250 for just this.
Yeah.
So I got a pretty good deal, for 115 in person and a picture with him.
I'm looking at you as you took that down off the wall, and I'm looking at the Undertaker picture, and it's like he's going, how come it's not me? He's like, this is the hands. Yeah, no, awesome, yeah. Yeah, some cool ones there. Flair, Undertaker, Hogan. Where did you get the Hogan one?
Hulk Hogan, that was WrestleMania Access in 2015.
Okay.
It was he was very unimpressed with my sister that day. I think she decided to get a picture of him signed dressed as Santa Claus from that dreadful Christmas film he did, Santa Claus with muscles. He told her she was crazy, but so I just decided to go for the regular old photo that they had there to give to him.
How was he on the day?
He was cool, yeah. I mean, I see a lot of people saying that he's a dick and that he's not nice and that kind of thing, but he was so nice. He was very happy to be there,
Yeah, it's amazing when you go to them, isn't it? Like even within similar realms of a signing, you can have either a good or a bad experience, depending on. I think a lot of these good and bad experiences actually depend on your own approach. Like
yes,
too
it does.
forceful and too over the top and all, they don't kind of like that.
It does.
They only like it to a little bit of an extent and stuff like that. So I more often than not, when people go, "Oh, I met this wrestler, he was an absolute dick," and I go, "Well, what happened? How did it arrive at this point where he became a dick?" They don't just do it on purpose. Well, some of them do, of course, in airports.
It's rarely, yeah. Like you said that there. I've met Ric Flair twice now, and both times he didn't say a word to me.
Okay.
Not even hello. Which, like, I wasn't too upset about it or anything because, as I said, I'm very quiet myself during these meets. But even hello, because like it's not as if I'm running up to him in the street or in a hotel or the airport. These were signings that I paid decent amount of money
for. Yeah, absolutely.
So you think a hello would be good.
Yeah.
And I'd heard that before from about him from other people.
So strange, isn't it?
Yeah. So the second time I met him a couple of years later after getting this signed, I decided to bring my sister up with me because wrestlers sometimes tend to talk to girls more than guys, or put more of an effort into talking to girls more than guys.
Yeah.
And that's exactly what happened when I went up. I met him twice this day. It's getting two different things signed. And the first time I went up with a figure, he signed it for me. Not So I guess actually it'd be 3 times I met him and it was nothing to me. And then the second time I went up with him, I went up with a magazine this time to get signed, and I brought her up with me. Just because I was curious, will he say anything because she's there? And of course, he gave her a woo, and
So this is you testing the theory,
yeah. It was 5 o'clock somewhere in the day. She happened to have a drink with her, a bottle. So he commented on that and asked about that drink and that kind of thing. So
it's mad, isn't it? Yeah, you would think with Ric Flair like being so over the top and flamboyant and all, and you think he'd be kind of out there with meeting people and stuff like that, you know? Because I remember I seen him at WrestleCon, and there was lads walking up, whipping off suit jackets and elbow dropping them and everything and all in front of them and all, and he was so engrossed in it, he was blown away by it and got so into it and stuff like that and all, you know. And then I'm sort of thinking, well, like if everyone in the queue starts doing this now, this is going to become a bit wearing, you know. But yeah. And I remember your man at the WrestleCon who did it as well. He got great elevation on the elbow as well. I don't know how he didn't hurt himself big time, but it was pretty cool. Yeah. But that's an interesting. There's another tip for anyone who's going to WrestleCons or meet and greets and stuff like that. Another tip from David. One is wear an outlandish shirt that will drive conversation, and 2, if you have a girlfriend or a sister or a lady friend with you, bring them up with you. It always generates a bit of more conversation. Good.
It does.
This is Collector's Corner's tips for WrestleCons and meet and greets. In terms of a holy grail that you would like or that you've seen that you haven't bought, what comes to mind? Is there a piece out there or something that you'd love to own if there was no issue with budget? Let's suppose you won the lotto or the Euro Millions tonight.
The said to be rarest wrestling figure in the world is that Hasbro Kamala, where he has his moon tattoo on of him. There's only something like 30 of those in existence. Yeah. 25. There's one up on eBay right now for around 23 grand, I think.
Yeah.
So I get that just to say I own it.
Yeah,
Was never a big Kamala fan, but just to say I own it, I'd get it for that bragging right.
Yeah, absolutely. Did you see the episode on Pawn Stars where your man came in with the fake one?
Yes.
So good. Like, you know, I would have still bought that off him for $30 or $40 just to have it.
Yeah,
piece to have.
Those custom ones like that actually do sell for around 100, 150 online.
Yeah. So and they're still really cool. Like,
a cool display piece, but not nothing more beyond that.
Yeah. Give me 2 wrestlers here. Give me a wrestler you'd love to meet that you haven't met yet.
Not number 1 on that list until I get him would definitely be The Rock.
Okay.
He's The Rock. You know, I don't know why anyone wouldn't want to meet him.
If we leave it much longer, we ain't going to be able to do it because he's probably going to be president sooner rather than later, and then no one's getting near him. What about a wrestler that passed that you never got the chance to meet, that you wanted to meet or you would have wanted to meet, that has passed away?
I'd say maybe either Eddie Guerrero or Randy Savage. Because those are the only ones come to mind, because I have been fortunate enough to meet some great ones before they passed away, like Roddy Piper and Dusty Rhodes. I met Dusty Rhodes literally 3 months before he passed, if even. And Jim Neidhart and Mean Gene Okerlund and Bobby Heenan and Harley Race. So I've met a good few who are passed away now that a lot of people would love today.
Yeah, absolutely.
But so I was fortunate enough to get those.
Yeah, no, that's pretty cool. Absolutely, yeah. So they're real good choices. So tell us, plug some stuff here. Talk to us about what you're up to during these lockdown times and stuff like that, which is a killer for wrestling fans. It means we can buy more stuff and get more deliveries, of course, if we're collectors.
Yeah.
But in terms of being wrestling fans, we can't go to shows, meet and greets, can't get over to the States, can't go to Maine, you can't do all that kind of cool stuff we normally do. So what have you been up to?
Well, since before the pandemic, I started doing social media work for the convention you mentioned earlier, For the Love of Wrestling, which is in Liverpool, going to be in Liverpool every year. Whenever we get around to the second show, it'll be in Liverpool. It's the first event was, huge, very big thing to be able to to get a lineup similar to that it would be a tough job. I think they can do it because they have good connections with WWE and AEW. So, first convention had The Undertaker and Ric Flair and Chris Jericho and Bret Hart and Christian Cage and Booker T, all these really brilliant big names for people. And then our second one coming up soon, they're right in the middle of reconfirming names at the moment. So far, there's Shawn Michaels and Jeff Hardy and JBL and Trish Stratus and a few more. Also working on some other names that were advertised, which they're still talking at the moment, like Goldberg and The Big Show and a few other names like that. So it's going to be a really good show. I talk to the other guys all the time who run it, and I already know of some really cool names that they're going to be announcing soon that a lot of people are going to want to meet that are very much worth the trip over.
Cool.
Very much worth
when's that due to go ahead?
That is the 23rd and 24th of April next year.
Okay, awesome. So
I think I have those dates right. Anyways, it's the later 20s of April.
And if people want to find out more information on that in terms of tickets, location, all
yeah,
that kind of stuff.
We're on the usual suspects. We're on Facebook. I personally run the Twitter and Instagram accounts, and then the other lads run the Facebook. But all three of those, particularly the Twitter and Instagram, because that's all my work. So go nice. Follow those.
Awesome. Yeah. Well, and else, what else are you up to?
Other than that, I occasionally do a little bit of writing on Sportskeeda about different opinions and stuff on the wrestling. I toned that down a little bit because my regular job needed me more during COVID, working in the store. So I never stopped working at any point. So I was needed there a lot more. But other than that, I do like to do that occasionally. I'm at I think I'm 4,202,000 views at the moment for my other stuff that's up there. So
wow, awesome.
I'm happy with that number, but I'd like to get up more, so I will be getting back to that fairly soon.
Awesome, they're great numbers. Well, as always, it's been a pleasure. It's great to catch up, and no doubt we'll be catching up real soon in the shop. To talk about what we love and what we don't like about wrestling and merchandise and all that kind of good stuff. Until next time, head over to YouTube, Dynamo Podcast Network. Audio versions of the show are available through Anchor. And if you want to hit us up or comment about any of Dave's pieces in his collection, if you're in need of a Hulk Hogan bar of soap or an Ultimate Warrior bar of soap for that good wash from parts unknown, hit up David in the comments. And as always, we will talk to you again real soon. Cheers, David.
See you then.